When it comes to Drake and Kendrick Lamar, it feels like watching two titans circling each other in the ring. But this time, Drake is moving like an obsessed ex who just can't let go of the past. He's publicly taking shots at Kendrick again, practically begging for another round of beef that no one even asked for. Make sure to like and subscribe, because what's about to unfold is wild. Drake and his so-called OVO detectives have finally pieced together a full sentence, and now he's running around like a self-proclaimed lyrical mastermind, a supervillain plotting from the shadows. There's this entire bigger plan narrative being spun, like Kendrick is caught in some grand scheme about to explode bigger than anyone expected. The drama feels scripted, but the tension is very real. Now, Drake fans are swearing up and down that the man behind the Heart Part 6 is some kind of prophet, a lyrical genius predicting the future like a rap world Nostradamus. But enough of the jokes. Today, we're diving straight into the receipts, breaking down what's actually happening, because emotions online are about to spill over. Here's the wild part. Between all the meltdown moments, petty clashes, and desperate grabs for headlines, Drake has been liking multiple fan posts pushing bizarre theories. These theories claim that the current lawsuit between him and his label somehow ties back to lyrics in Family Matters, as if it were all part of some cosmic plan. People are painting Drake as a Gandalf the Great, a Yoda, a wise oracle who foresaw every twist before it even happened. The mythology around him is getting ridiculous, and today, we're tearing it apart piece by piece. Now here's where things get completely absurd. Some media voices are suddenly trying to lecture everyone about media literacy, twisting the ending of Family Matters into a full-blown conspiracy. Toward the end of the track, Drake hints that Kendrick supposedly needed a management team to cover up dark deeds, claims with zero evidence, yet fans are treating it like gospel. This isn't speculation anymore. It's myth-building. According to Drake's carefully worded lines, he supposedly knew there would be a massive scheme involving bots, not like us, and other shady tactics. Then, he drops a breadcrumb, mentioning an LLC called Nowhere to Hide. Instantly, the rumor mill exploded. Suddenly, the internet started pointing at a man named Kojo, dragged into this case, with fans claiming Drake had warned everyone all along. It's a cinematic story, but does it hold up? Here's the kicker. Before we even examine whether this has any merit, the so-called evidence starts to crumble. People claim the Nowhere to Hide company is Kojo's LLC, but documents show it looks more like a false registry than anything Kojo's involved in. It's a digital mirage. Everyone's chasing shadows while Drake's fans cheer him on like he's a rap world detective dropping clues only he understands. Honestly, this Drake the Prophet narrative is absurd. Fans act like he's a master lyricist writing coded messages from the future. But when you strip away the obsession and actually look at the facts, what Drake's hinting at isn't just flimsy, it's outrageous. According to fan theories, Drake isn't just rapping. He's supposedly been playing 4D chess with the entire music industry. They claim he always knew there'd be a diss track designed to destroy his reputation, devalue him within his label, and trap him in a scheme he couldn't stop but somehow knew every detail of. It sounds less like a rap beef and more like a Netflix thriller. Here's the absurd twist. Even if Drake allegedly knew every part of this master plan, he still let it crush him for over a year, watching it rewrite hip-hop history while he stood there. The idea is so over the top it borders on satire. But buckle up, because it gets even wilder. According to these fan theories, ever since Kendrick dropped Like That Again, Drake supposedly knew the whole beef was staged to boost streams, wreck his image, and shift the culture. Yet instead of walking away, he dove headfirst into push-ups and Instagram antics, acting like it was just another lyrical sparring match. Fans are expected to believe he doubled down on Family Matters, fully aware Kendrick's next move would nuke his reputation. Then Kendrick drops his track, Drake fires back with the Heart Part 6, and suddenly it's all part of some prophecy of his own downfall. But here's where that fairytale collapses. The Heart Part 6 was supposed to be Drake's big reveal, his moment to prove he was the puppet master behind the scenes. Instead, it exposed him. He tried to spin wild accusations about lines involving the daughter and secret info, but all it really did was damage his own reputation and show how rattled he was. This wasn't confidence. It was panic on wax. Look back at every track Drake has dropped since then. The genius strategist narrative becomes laughable. Because if he really were this omniscient mastermind, why release the Heart Part 6, a track that looked less like a chess move and more like a meltdown cover-up? If this was a calculated industry plot, that was the moment to expose it. Instead, he doubled down on chaos, and it backfired. At the end of the day, if Drake truly had a plan, if he really knew all of this was happening, it would have changed music forever. But it didn't. The setup theory collapses under its own weight. To believe it, you'd have to think Drake willingly tanked his entire reputation for over a year as part of some convoluted long game he'd eventually win. Nobody in history has ever done that. Not in rap, not in politics, not anywhere. Yet the OVO camp keeps pushing the myth, and fans keep pretending it's strategy when it's clearly damage control. Meanwhile, Drake is out here liking posts claiming he knew everything all along, posturing as the ultimate boogeyman compared to Kendrick Lamar. But if that's true, why does every move look like damage control instead of domination? The legend he's selling doesn't match the reality we're seeing, and that's the real scandal. The funniest part. Drake still playing his little baiting games, sneak dissing, dropping cryptic bars, throwing hints, but never once saying Kendrick's name. Not once. He wants the smoke, but not the fire. And somehow, his fans are eating it up. Drake didn't outsmart anyone. He just got lucky that his fan base is desperate to believe every breadcrumb he drops is part of some divine plan. That's not genius. It's delusion disguised as strategy. When you really dissect Drake's so-called ideology, the illusion collapses. The man hasn't been calculated, he's been chaotic. There's no crystal ball here, no master planner, just noise wrapped in confidence. Drake's entire creative process for the past decade can be summed up in one term: disc slop. Because what he does isn't precision, it's messy, loud, and intentionally vague. Look back at For All the Dogs and Scary Hours 3. Those records are fueled by emotion, not intellect. Drake rants, barks, and takes shots at invisible enemies, but never gives clarity. It's like he's shouting into the void, letting fans connect the dots for him. And when they do, they turn every random lyric into prophecy. Take Stories About My Brother as a perfect example of disc slop in action. He closes with the infamous line, "You are not Kobe Bryant to us." On paper, it sounds sharp. But when you break it down, it's vague, directionless, and designed to sound deep without actually saying anything. That's Drake's formula: leave blanks, let fans fill them in, and watch the internet turn speculation into scripture. It's genius marketing by accident, not intention. Now, fans have been spinning wild theories about who that Kobe line was aimed at. Some say Kendrick, others say LeBron James. But when you look at the facts, none of it adds up. Kendrick attended one of Drake's shows, and Drake and LeBron were still on good terms. The line was probably about someone else, or maybe just a throwaway bar meant to sound profound. That's Drake's pattern: drop something vague, let fans go detective mode, and sit back while the internet turns noise into gospel. The same goes for Red Button. Drake raps like the world is out to get him, turning paranoia into poetry. Instantly, fans claim it's proof he knew the Kendrick beef was pre-planned. But if anything, the facts destroy that theory. Drake actually asked Kendrick to feature on the album. Kendrick's "Like That" verse was a surprise. There was no secret setup, no master plot, just ego and timing colliding. When you add the Kojo line everyone's obsessing over, it's obvious what's happening. People are desperate to make Drake look like a prophet or a strategist. But the reality? He's a guy throwing vague lines into the wind while fans do all the heavy lifting to make it sound like prophecy. Unless someone can produce actual proof that Drake has ever been truly calculated, intentional, or aware beyond his own chaos, this entire theory is just another example of him manipulating the most gullible fans online. All smoke, no fire. Kendrick doesn't play internet games. He drops bombs and walks away while the world burns, and that's exactly what Drake fears most. Drake's entire empire runs on control of narratives, fans, and trends. But he can't control Kendrick Lamar, and deep down, he knows it. That's why he's still lurking in comment sections, liking random theories, and posting cryptic emojis instead of confronting the truth. He's trying to turn confusion into a shield, but it's not working anymore. People see through it. The more he talks without saying anything, the more desperate he looks. Meanwhile, Kendrick's silence speaks volumes. It's louder than Drake's entire rollout. Every sub, every bar, every lyric Drake's dropped since Family Matters only makes one thing clear: he's haunted. Haunted by the man who dismantled his image with precision and walked away without flinching. Maybe this whole saga isn't about strategy or prophecy. Maybe it's just the story of a man who flew too close to the spotlight and melted under his own hype. Because at this point, Drake's biggest enemy isn't Kendrick, it's his reflection. The OVO empire is wobbling, fans are divided, and Kendrick remains silent, patient, and dangerous. If he ever decides to drop that next diss, it won't just shake the internet, it'll break it. So like, subscribe, and share, because when that moment hits, you'll want to be here to watch it all unfold. Right now, the rap game feels like it's holding its breath. The tension between Drake and Kendrick lingers in every corner of the culture, and this story is far from over. What began as a lyrical clash has turned into something much bigger. Reputation versus reality, pride versus silence, and Drake's ego caught in the middle. Since the fallout, every move Drake's made looks like an attempt to rewrite what already happened. Cryptic messages, conspiracy likes, breadcrumb clues, but none of it lands the way it used to. The confidence feels forced. The mystery feels staged. And the charm. It's fading fast. Meanwhile, Kendrick says nothing, and that silence cuts deeper than any verse Drake's released all year. It's like he's letting Drake burn himself out, watching from the shadows as the OVO machine struggles to rebuild what can't be repaired. The balance of power has shifted, and Drake feels it every time he opens his phone. The entire scene is waiting for one moment, one drop, one post, that could flip everything again. If that moment comes, it won't just be another track. It'll be the spark that sends this feud into total chaos. And if that chaos means new Kendrick music, that's a win for hip-hop. So let Drake keep poking, keep baiting, keep pretending he's in control. Because every time he does, we get closer to Kendrick stepping back in to remind everyone what real lyricism sounds like. Meanwhile, Drake keeps doing victory laps online, rewriting history in real time, trying to convince the world he was the mastermind all along, when really, he's just cleaning up a mess he made himself. The more he talks, the more obvious it becomes. This isn't strategy. It's panic in slow motion. And then there's Laurie, still trying to ride this wave like it's his moment. But all he's proving is that he's the lamest one in the room. Every time he speaks, the credibility drops another level. Drake might be spinning stories, but Laurie's out here spinning embarrassment. So now I want to know, do you believe Drake actually knew what was happening with Kendrick? Or is he bluffing, trying to rewrite his own downfall? And how do you feel about him baiting Kendrick again, like he's begging for round 2? Because if Kendrick ever decides to respond, it's game over. If you made it this far, make sure to like, subscribe, and share. It helps a lot. Now, if you want to see what happened before all this, Drake had one of his most unhinged unstaged rants yet. And trust me, it got worse than anything we've seen before. See you in the next one.